Thank you, Andrew. Well, Andrew asked me to put on my futurologist hat and to give my vision of the future. And so the subtitle of the talk is, I have seen the future and it works. Now, this is a quote made by Lincoln Steffens, an American journalist, in 1919 at the start of the Soviet Union. So I don't want you to forget the irony as the talk progresses. And talking of the Soviet Union, Trotsky said, history is the natural selection of accidents. And our world today is full of accidents just waiting to happen. They will either catapult us into new prosperity or relegate us to poverty, obscurity, and extinction. Information and communication technologies are taking us out of the machine age, the industrial age, into who knows what. So where does Krakow fit in this new world economic order? This is not a world for the timid. Remember President Pompidou's warning. There are 3 roads to ruin: gambling, women, and technology. Gambling is the quickest, women the most pleasurable, but technology the most certain. So will technology lead to ruin? Well, we may be damned if we do, but we're doubly damned if we don't. We don't have a choice. Remember Machiavelli's famous last words. On his deathbed, the priest was delivering the last rites. Do you renounce the devil and all his works? To which Machiavelli replied, this is no time to be making enemies. No individual, no firm, no region, no country can just renounce the works of this devil's technology. The very fact that computer technology is so diabolical means that this is a time of great opportunity, but also it is one of great danger. Telecoms networks covering the globe with cable and satellite enable everyone in the world, well, those who can afford it, to talk to everyone else. And anyone bypassed faces ruin. Success will be determined by unique social, political, organizational, and particular personal factors, not just the functional. This is not a nice, neat, tidy transition. It is a severe and a total dislocation with the past. We're at a crossroads. The old ways lead nowhere. Societies are stratifying. New elites are appearing. At the 2014 World Economic Forum in Davos, Oxfam claimed that the world's 85 richest people were as wealthy as the poorest half of the world. Wow. Each shares $1.5 trillion. The wealth of the world's 1% richest people, which amounts to $110 trillion, is 65 times as much as what the poorest half owns. Now, we're not here to discuss the rights and wrongs of this, but to accept the political reality. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And in the words of a great American philosopher, I've been rich and I've been poor. Believe me, honey, rich is better. Inexorably, in this slow redistribution of wealth that has occurred over the last centuries, we're finding it's reversing, and rapidly. Karl Marx said that every technology leads to alienation, which eventually leads to a polarization in wealth. Of course, it will all even out in the long run. Eventually, we all get the same amount of ice, except the rich get it in the summer and the poor get it in the winter. It's time to rid ourselves of that backward-looking idea that work involves physical effort. Of course, labor is needed, but there's a world full of laborers out there. The International Labour Organization calculated that in 2013, 800 million workers were living on less than $2 a day. That means semi-skilled and unskilled labor have become a commodity and must compete on price. Why should the world's underemployed all live in developing countries? The automation and exportation of jobs is sending shockwaves through Western workforces previously protected by national interests, but which are now incapable of fending off foreign incursions. And as for the factories and the headquarters, the teleworkers, they can be resited, moving from high-cost areas to low-cost. And there are a host of countries out there making international businessmen and women an offer they can't refuse. The motto for everyone is add value or perish. It's a tough world out there, and there's no room for sentimentality in a world where quality is far more important than quantity. Individuals, companies, countries have no choice. They must ask and answer some very brutal questions concerning which workers are resources and which are liabilities. This is not being callous, unscrupulous, unprincipled, or immoral. It is natural. Nature is not immoral when it has no pity for the degenerate. And as with a factory, a typical factory employs one man and a dog. The man is there to feed the dog, and the dog makes sure the man doesn't touch anything. In the UK, there are more people working in Indian restaurants than in iron and steel, shipbuilding, coal industries combined. This is amazing. The bureaucratic structures of enterprise can no longer they can be spontaneously created in software and supported by outsourcing anywhere in the cloud. According to Peter Drucker, humanity is polarizing into two employment categories: the intellectual, cultural, and business elite, the mobile and independent knowledge workers, you, the alphas, and the rest, the immobile and dependent service workers. Now, let me expand on what Drucker means by this term. You are not service workers. You are what Robert Reich calls symbolic analytic knowledge workers. Problem identifiers, solvers, brokers with unique or at least very rare skills that are sold across the globe with telecommunications media. Reich splits Drucker's service workers into two groups: in-person services, such as hairdressers, school teachers, universities professors, shop assistants, deliverers of a particular service on an individual basis, but who have to differentiate themselves on price as well as quality. And at the bottom of the rung, there's the routine production services: laborers, factory workers, truck drivers who deliver their products anonymously. Drucker himself dislikes the term knowledge worker because he is clear that the real issue is not knowledge, but talent. Because knowledge in, by, and for itself achieves absolutely nothing. It is that very rare commodity, human talent, which is the stuff of work in tomorrow's world. Paradoxically, only human talent can leverage the added value from technology. One thing never changes: the need for innovation. However, innovation does not happen just because of capital investment in scientific and technological research. These deliver mere possibilities. Continuous innovation by the talent worker is the key to success. But there are clever people everywhere. So why is prosperity so unevenly distributed? Performance depends on this balance between social capital and an investment in both physical infrastructure and individual intellectual capital. It's how a group sets about ruling itself, the type of rules it makes, the way it treats the creators of wealth, that separates success from failure. Spectacular growth comes from firms that thrive on their own energy and that of their surroundings. Now, one company that has grasped this new reality is Boeing. According to a spokesman, Boeing's core business is not making aeroplanes, it is knowing how to make aeroplanes. As long as Boeing contains the intellectual property rights, they can profit by building their planes anywhere they can find a talented workforce. Hence, they're looking at Taiwan. The individual innovator ultimately generates wealth. Hence, labor and talent must no longer be treated under one single heading. Individuals are not standardized units. Talent, the great divider of humanity, must be seen as the diviner of economic success. It's in short supply, and so it's in great demand. No company, no country, no region can succeed without a talented workforce, because talent work must either go to where the talent workers are, or these alphas must be seduced away. There are enormous opportunities for those alphas who have the vigor and the vitality, the nerve to break free of the limitations drawn in the past, and who have the vision to redraw their own future.